Thank you all for coming out on this beautiful day to remember a beautiful man, Tom Stoddard. Tom was the executive director of Lambda Legal from 1986 to 1992, pivotal years when we were reeling from the defeat of the Supreme Court in Bowers versus Hardwick, which upheld the sodomy laws that made us criminals, when AIDS was devastating our community, and when Lambda Legal was a fraction of the size that it is today. Tom was absolutely critical in helping Lambda Legal kind of approach what I call takeoff velocity, where it went from being a very small nonprofit to being the force that would win cases like Lawrence versus Texas and Obergefell versus Hodges.
Tom was a courageous and stubborn leader, and I would like to emphasize stubborn, who is both a key strategist for our movement and a very public voice for our community at a time when that could be a scary thing. Tom led Lambda Legal through tremendous growth, both in litigation and in staff, and he was so proud when he opened Lambda's second office beyond New York City in Los Angeles. At that time, our movement did not have many national leaders, and Tom stood out, both as a public voice and as a principled warrior.
In the end, of course, Tom was not saved from the epidemic. He staggered through to 1997. That year, some people who had seemed to be dying arose like Lazarus and walked, but others were just too ill to be pulled back from the edge of the abyss. And Tom was one of those. Tom's loss was and is terrible for me, even 28 years later. And Tom would not have wanted me to speak only of him. So many of our darlings, so many of our brothers and sisters are gone. In some ways, the flame of hope burned more brightly, or at least more consistently, and in Tom's life than it has in mine. The grief of the past will always be with me, as different shapes of grief arising from the epidemic to remain with so many of us. But I owe it to Tom to acknowledge, as we all know, that his hope for medical progress was vindicated for others, although not for him, that many of his political goals were achieved during his lifetime, and many more have been achieved since his death, thanks in considerable part to Lambda Legal's work.